Alright. My name is Kyle James Chardi, and I started writing as an outlet for my emotions over 8 years ago. I continue to write because that river of emotions still has not run dry. But after rafting the Colorado River during the Grand Canyon semester, Mark Twain's wise words resonated deep into the dendrites of my mind. The difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter. It's the difference between the lightning bug and lightning. Upon returning to the real world, I could not capture the true beauty of the life-changing adventure I had undertaken. And if I could not do it justly, then I didn't feel I had the right to do it. It was a roadblock of all roadblocks. For years, I'd been converting emotions and thoughts into written words. But all of a sudden, a boulder blocked the road. It wasn't until reading Terry Tempest Williams' Why I Write that I felt inspired to analyze and reflect on why I write. Upon finishing it, I felt an itching at my stitching to answer that same question for myself. So here it is. This is the answer to the question I was not ready to ask myself until I was 22 years, 9 months, and a handful of hours old. I write to keep the puppet string slacked in my dreams. I write to keep the beasts at bay. I write to release the beast to wreak havoc, to open that door that I'm too afraid to open to anyone other than my pencil and paper. I write because the words that need to be said are best written first. I write to release the shackles and chains that flow through my veins, to turn my pencil into a lens lending in clarity to a meshing of emotions bottled up inside myself. I write in the interlude between the then and the again. I write to keep my shadow from creeping up too close, because I'm too afraid of what would happen if I let all of this pile up. I write like the ebb and flow of the river, perpetually swaying my emotions. I write to return the rhythm of reality whenever it wanders astray. I write to gently touch the surface of the intangible. I write to explain what entropy unfolds around me. I write to find out what this accumulation of thoughts and emotions converges to. I write to cry words instead of tears. I write in hopes of finding a hint of how to put these puzzle pieces together, in angst to fill in all these white spaces. I write knowing these words will turn to gold in my mind's eye when I read back over them in old age. I write to break lead on paper instead of eardrums and glass with my screams. I write to learn who this person I see in the mirror every morning really is. I write to mold in my mind the woman I will one day love, so that on the day we meet, it will be in the form of a reunion, not an introduction. I write because something in me tells me it should be, needs to be done. I write for the rabble of butterflies, the numerous knots tightly tied, and the unceasing tribulation of the tide that resides in my stomach. I write of things worse than I'm enduring to remind myself that I can always fall further. I write to learn the definitions of patience and endurance. I write because you cannot erase spoken words. I write to make sure the canary makes it back from the coal mine. I write to excavate the things I bury deepest. I write to get to know the kin that lives within. I write as a lesson in humanity, in humility. I write because I am a mountain. I am a stream. I am a speck of dirt. I write because once an idea sparks, the flame consumes everything until I can tame it with pencil and paper. I write because it's the closest thing to time travel. I write to release the burden of the words that teeter on the tip of my tongue that I'm too afraid to let fall out. I write to give myself a lending hand when no one else is there to give it. I write so that when I shed this skin, I will know where to begin again. I write for the flickering flame quivering in the wind. I write to right my wrongs. I write knowing that these words are a friend that I will never lose. I write in hopes that someday I can crumble up my most poetic words and toss them in the wind to land in the hands of a homeless person in need of warmth. For them to read my words once, and with only one thought of reluctance, toss the paper into the fire for warmth. I write so one day I can be comfortable enough within myself that wherever I roam, I will always feel at home. I write to show this place is more than a hole in the ground surrounded by a desert. I write as translator for the creeping sunrise on the contortions of the canyon, for the subtle breeze rustling through the ponderosa leaves, and for the stubborn eddies perpetually putting me in my place. I write so in my mind, I never really have to leave this place, so that when I have to return home and the west whispers my name, I can bottle up its words in jam jars and release its whimsical sayings when I worry I cannot stay away any longer. But most of all, I write in recognition of the rite of passage my words have been for me over the years, in nostalgia for the copious journeys we have taken together, and in a way, to convey the message that, although the view of the Grand Canyon may make me speechless, it simultaneously ignites a symphony within my mind that cannot be confined.